Hi everybody, I'm Agent Vicky with Better Homes and Gardens Real Estate, and today I have with me Troy from Nook and Cranny Home Inspections.
Hi.
So a couple of questions, and these are common questions that people ask either you or I, is, well, what is a home inspection and why should somebody get one?
So a home inspection is basically just a good physical examination of that house. We get a snapshot in time, what's going on, what maintenance items need to be done, what things aren't working properly in the house, just stuff like that. And you know, it's really not a pass-fail deal. It's just kind of a checkup to give you a good idea of what's going on in that house.
Right. And so I love how when we get the reports back is that you show things in categories. So explain those categories.
So the three categories we use are maintenance items, and what a maintenance item is to us is something that, you know, that 1 to 3 year time period. So it doesn't necessarily need to be done today,
Right.
but it's something that needs to be done so a bigger
Addressed.
problem doesn't it doesn't happen down the road.
Yeah.
And then we use what we call repair or replace, which means, hey, we found, you know, a pressure regulator wasn't working.
Right.
You need to have that repaired or replaced by a plumber.
Okay.
And then we use safety items. So a safety concern is like if the deck's pulling away from the house or something that's going to put somebody in immediate harm, we want those addressed.
Yes, for sure. And sometimes, and even as a realtor, when I'm, representing a client who's buying a property, we'll get the report back and it's listed in categories so they know exactly what needs perhaps immediate attention. And maybe those are the items that we might want to talk to the seller about, like whether it could be repaired or whether we negotiate, some other details or a reducement in the price or something like that. But all the other categories are kind of like maintenance items that need to be addressed kind of as you get in. They're kind of like a to-do list, if you like.
That's exactly right. And one thing that we try to stress to our clients is hang on to that inspection report.
Yes.
It's typically over 100 pages long, and they can refer back to that for years. Oh, here's something that I should be doing. Because even if it's not on there, it could be a maintenance item further down the road. And we even have clients call us back and ask us to come back and just do maintenance inspections for them on a yearly basis, to where we go in and just create a kind of a punch list. Here's the things that you need to do. Your rain gutters are pulling away from the house now. A couple of shingles are starting to lift up. We go, attics, roofs, crawl spaces, people don't go in those.
Yeah.
And so we'll come and do that and just take a look at everything for them and give them a maintenance. Hey, this is what you need to do to keep your house up. And if they do that year after year after year, when they go to sell their house 4, 5, 6 years down the road, now they don't have to worry about the inspection because they've stayed up on their maintenance.
Yeah, I think that's important. So the other thing that I noticed you put in there is at the very end of the report is there's a list of service people or contractors that you recommend, and I find that really helpful. My clients find that really helpful that you do that. And so that's a nice little touch there. Tell us a little bit about how long does it take? Once somebody books or schedules their inspection, it's usually how long before the inspection is?
So we try to get them in within 2 to 3 days. We want to get them done because we know that time is of the essence with the due diligence. A lot of times to get the house under contract now in the market we're in, you have to shorten the due diligence time period. So we really try hard, and we schedule in blocks of time to make it convenient for them so that they can come and do the walkthrough with us at the end or the home orientation, because it's important to us to be able to show them where everything is in that house and how it operates, where their water shutoff is, where their gas shutoff is, how to change the furnace filter, things that they need to know right away. And we try to orient them to that house so they know that.
Okay. And how long does it, so once we've done the walkthrough inspection, how long does it take for them to actually get the report so that maybe the person who's buying the house and the agent can actually maybe work through what's on the list, maybe what...
We send it to them right there immediately. We don't hold it. Yeah, we're done. When we walk out of that house, we're done. We don't have to send them the report later. Time is so important anymore, and people just don't have a lot of time on their hands, so we want them to have that report immediately so that you as their agent and as our client, they can go through that and say, okay, because one of the things that we joke about with my team is, when we do the walkthrough with people, they probably forget it 30 minutes later because we give them so much information that it's just kind of overwhelming. And so we want them to have that report so that they can go back through and say, oh yeah, now I remember that and I remember that, and it just seems to help a lot.
Yeah, and every house is going to have issues with it, whether it's brand new, whether it's 5 years old, or whether it's 50 years old. There's always going to be a list of things, and I always like to let my clients know that yes, you're going to get a list. It could be between 20 and 30 items that maybe need addressing, but we want to look at maybe the ones that are in that red category that need addressing right now, and maybe sort through some of those.
And you know, that's the thing, there's no perfect house. Whether it's brand new construction or it's 100 years old, there's always going to be something on a house that can be fixed.
Yeah.
You know, weather, water's the root of all evil.
Yep.
Water causes so many problems, and it just doesn't matter. And we try to really stress to our clients, hey, you've got maintenance items. These are like a 1 to 3 year deal. They don't need to be addressed immediately, and there may be 45 of them on there.
Yeah.
Don't freak out about that, because that's just common maintenance stuff.
Yeah.
And so we try really hard to get that across to people, that just because there's all of these items in the report, they don't necessarily all need to be addressed today.
Yeah. And tell us about what does it cost to get a home inspection?
So the cost is based on square footage, because we've kind of come up with a formula of how much time it takes per square foot to do an inspection. And so average in Utah right now is about $350.
Okay, yeah. And so what about radon inspections or meth testing? Do you cover that type of thing as well?
Absolutely. So radon, Utah's the number 3 state in the United States for high radon levels, and we do a lot of radon testing. Our radon test is done with what's called a continuous monitor, and we set them 48 hours before the inspection, so that the day of the inspection is done and we can put all that in the report for you. You know, and people kind of freak out about radon, and one of the things that they need to know is radon is a long-term thing. It's 20 years, you know, before that they're going to be affected by radon. They're not going to move in tomorrow and all of a sudden die from radon.
Right.
It's long-term exposure, so people need to be aware of that. And it's not overly expensive to mitigate radon. Average cost in Utah is between $1,200 and $1,500 to mitigate a house for radon.
Right.
So it's not a huge expense. It's still an expense, but it's not a huge expense.
Yeah, I think it's a good investment. I mean, maybe there's the $350 for the home inspection, but those additional services, which are an additional fee, but they're sometimes so well worth it just for the peace of mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other big one in Utah is meth testing.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Utah per capita is the #1 state in the nation for high meth levels.
Are you kidding me?
Yep, for our population size, we're #1.
Oh, wow, I did not know that.
So, yeah, and 1 in 3 houses will test positive for meth.
Wow, that's a surprising number.
It is. And you know, it's funny because people freak out about meth, but Utah, the reason we're #1 is the state has set the level so low on meth.
Right.
They set it at 1,
Okay.
and the nation average is 4. So we're 3 points below the nation average, so that's why we're #1 in the state. So it's kind of a misleading. And in all honesty, even at that level 1, you could get more sick from a bottle of cough syrup than you can from meth. So it's kind of a misleading thing, but it is still important to make sure that they do that.
For sure. And you're a Utah-based company, right?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So locally owned and operated. We started Nook and Cranny Home Inspections in 1996. And in 2001, I went full-time with it and been running ever since. Now we have 11 inspectors on staff plus myself. So we really try hard to get you guys in within that 2 to 3 day time period.
Yeah. And actually a lot of my clients, and certainly I really appreciate the service that you offer, and that's why I use you all the time or recommend you all the time, because for me it's always about the service and making sure that a client is getting top-notch service. And so I always recommend Nook and
Thank
Cranny.
you.
Yeah.
We appreciate it.
So if someone has questions, who should they contact, or what's your website and your phone number?
Okay, so they can call our office at 801-698-6467, or you can look us up on the website at nookandcrannyhomeinspections.com.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy, for coming in.
Absolutely, thank you.